Hi, in this episode I'm going to tell you about frequency lists. Are they a good idea or a bad idea? If you asked some people how to start learning a new language, many of them would probably tell you to start with a frequency list, which is a list containing the most frequently used words in a given language. And it seems logical because since people use these words the most, we should probably start with these words. It's logical, it's reasonable. But such lists have their pros and cons. And before I discuss their pros and cons, I'd like to show you what it looks like in practice. And as an example, we are going to use French. I'm going to pretend that I only speak English and I don't know any French words. I have a frequency list here, and I want to learn French, so I'm going to learn from this list. Word number one is comme, and here in this case I have a translation in English. Comme means as, but it doesn't mean a lot, so I'll probably use a dictionary on my phone to look for more information. So the dictionary tells me that comme means how. It also means as. I have some examples here. So I can see that it's used in comparisons, for example. Okay, so let's say that I know more or less what it means, but I'm not really sure how to use it. The word number two is je, which means I. I can look it up in the dictionary, but I don't think I really have to. Okay, it means I. It's more or less clear, but I don't know, for example, if I have to use this pronoun all the time, like in English, or can it be omitted, like in Italian, for example? I don't know that. Okay, let's move on. The word number three is son. And according to my list, it means his. But in the dictionary, I can see that it means his or her, which is quite confusing. I can see some examples like son étourdi de sœur. This is quite difficult. But I can also see some examples where son is sa, which is also quite confusing. Okay, let's say that I understand more or less, but it's quite confusing as you can see, and there are many words here that are hard to understand, hard to translate. So I don't really think that it's a good idea. Okay, I will probably remember these words if I see them again, but I can say that I know more or less what they mean, but I'm not really sure how to use them in practice. So as you can see, this method is not quite as good as it seems in theory. And now I like to discuss the pros and cons of such frequency lists. One of the pros is that it allows us to save some time, at least theoretically, because we're not trying to learn some rare vocabulary. We are trying to learn the vocabulary that is used the most, so it makes sense, but it's pretty obvious, and everyone who tries to learn a foreign language does that anyway. But one of the things that I like about frequency lists is that they help at the beginning, because they create some sort of positive psychological effect, because they allow you to get familiar with the vocabulary, even if you don't really understand it, you are not sure how to use it. For example, if you enroll in a language course, you're in a classroom and your teacher asks you to read a text in the foreign language, and you see this text and you think, oh, I don't know many of these words, but at least I remember this word and this word. I'm not really sure what they exactly mean, but it rings a bell, and I will probably figure out the rest based on the context. So at the beginning, when you don't know basically any words in the language you're trying to learn, it helps a little, and it makes the whole process a lot easier. Okay, so what about the cons? The first thing I don't like about frequency lists is the fact that they are word lists. And in my opinion, word lists are not the best idea to learn vocabulary. Maybe they're not the worst either, but I know better ways to learn new vocabulary. Of course, if you really want to learn vocabulary from word lists, you can do it, but I think that you're wasting your time, and you should try to find some better solutions. The next bad thing about such lists is that they contain many ambiguous words that are grammatical, so to speak, words that are hard to translate, to understand, and it's really hard to learn this way. The frequency lists that are available online are pretty bad in my opinion, because the people who create them don't really care about the point of view of a language learner. They just use a large amount of texts, they combine them, and they check how many times a given word occurred in these texts. But from the point of view of a language learner, this is not the best idea. Much better idea would be to create a list of non-grammatical, non-abstract words that refer to objects or people that we know. For example, car, house, water, sky, bike, words that are easy to understand, easy to imagine. But I'm afraid that you are not going to find such a list online unless you're very lucky. I tried it, and maybe I'll start creating such lists myself someday. We'll see. So to sum up, I don't think that frequency lists are a very good idea, and I also don't think that they are a very bad idea. It's good to take a look at such lists before you start learning a new language. but don't try to learn all the words. Don't try to memorize them, all their meanings, and so on. It doesn't make sense, because most of these words can only be understood in context, and such lists don't provide you with the context. So it doesn't make much sense. So just take a look and try to memorize maybe a few words, and that's it. Don't try to memorize the whole list, because you will see these words anyway.